Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is Joe Scarice, your co-host and co-founder of the Creative Birth Strategies podcast and house here on Clubhouse. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. Another great week of education, networking, and strategy. I want to always thank our co-founder as well, Mr. Yaro Perkins of Perkatech, who provides all the social media, architecture, website work, video work, endless amount of social media content every single week, and providing it also for real estate professionals throughout the country. I want to thank also Lend Investor Capital, where I'm a direct private lender, regional vice president of sales, providing not just direct lending for investors, but now offering with true white label for real estate brokers, mortgage brokers, influencers. We have a referral program where you don't have to actually broker and make up to 1% on the origination fee. So any questions, of course, please let me know. We're the only house here on Clubhouse that offers all those services. And I'm really happy to announce today the opening of Invest Abstract, where we are a title company in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and Florida. So we're in 4 states. We're going to grow it out a little more. But of course, we're in 4 states. We're starting off Invest Abstract. So we offer title services and marketing programs for real estate investors and real estate agents, of course, in that program as well. So I'm pinging a bunch of people in today. Hopefully we'll get some people in here this morning. Let's invite some people up here. All right. Good morning, Melissa. How are you? Oh, you were brought up right. It's all right. It's all right. Good. Just you want to throw yourself on mute when you get a sec. Then we'll get started here in just a few minutes. Today's discussion is about being a real estate influencer. I found it very interesting, this discussion. So we'll dive into this in just a few minutes. I always want to get caught up on the market as well. Very interesting week, final week of the month in November, going into the final month of the year in 25. Very calming market. People are kind of just watching and waiting to see if what happens. I think we need to see a little more influences to the economics. I think people are hearing all this good stuff going to happen, but nothing really has taken shape where it's changed the market itself from a pricing perspective. Some interesting articles and newsletters I put out this past week as well. Very interesting week. People I think are overanalyzing rates right now. Because DSCR doesn't make that much of a change from 7% to 6%. Believe it or not, it's like a $15 variable. And at the end of the day, are you over leveraging yourself is the question. And that's been a discussion I've been having with people all week. Does 6.5% make sense, or 7% make sense, or 6% make sense? So it's a very interesting discussions I've been having with clients, mortgage brokers, real estate professional services. The rates came in kind of stagnant this past week at around 6.22 on the conventional side. The base rate for commercial lending has leveled off at around 5.75. So rates are coming in around the same thing, about 6.25, 6.375 on the DSCR side. On the multifamily side, they're coming in on DSCR somewhere in the 7s. Construction money has come down a little bit. It's starting out at 8.375 this past week. So you can actually buy into the rate. You're going to pay a little more on origination, but you could be in the lower rates in the 8s, depending on experience, and, for the individual that's done at least 3 rehabs or flips in the past 3 years, or even 5 for that matter, they're definitely in the driver's seat in pricing on the BRRRR strategy or flipping right now. They're getting the best leverage. They're getting the best LTV on ARV. I'm seeing now leverage going up to about 95% on purchase, 100% on construction, 75% LTV on after repair value. I do see a lot of newbies being extremely zealous in rehab to purchase, doing a lot of trying to do a lot of lopsided deals. I see a lot of foreclosures coming in that regards because I see the inexperience right now. And what does that tie into real estate influencers? Because we're following different people that we admire or respect or just are interested in every single day online. And I the mortgage industry and the real estate industry is just getting a little stagnant going into the end of the year. Not a lot of excitement, not a lot of big markers making any changes. It'll be interesting what the Fed does in December here and any announcements. I don't think it'll have not a heck of a lot of influence. We need to see some jobs hit the ground from a lot of this money being announced into our country. So hopefully we'll start seeing some of that in the first quarter. A little nervous on multifamily delinquency rate, highest since housing bust. So it'll be interesting to watch that information there. The warehouse real estate sector is seeing a lot of rebalancing right now. So warehousing right now is still staying very steady and hot. Article that I saw this past week that I posted, small investors dominate as investor purchases hold steady. I've been talking about this for the last year. The last year I've been talking about the investors are going to dominate the buying market. Nobody was listening. I don't know why they keep thinking it's going to be a first-time home buyer market. The home buyers are sitting on the sidelines. Affordability is, I feel the inventory that's out there, the stock that the agents are posting, it's bloated. I think it's overpriced, and I think we're due a reset of at least 10 to 12% on values over the next couple of quarters. Hopefully this happens with rates coming into a realistic perspective for home buying. But right now, I don't see small investors slowing down. I see small investors gobbling up as much inventory as they could get their hands on. I see another article that caught my eye this past week. Housing market outlook in 2026. Resets, risks, and road to recovery. Are we in a road to recovery? I think we still need a couple punches in the gut a little bit to get realistic in the market. And I see foreclosures and delinquency trends suggesting about borrower health going into 26, not as good as everybody thinks. So keep an eye on foreclosures, keep an eye on delinquencies. You're going to see a lot of those. That's an area where you can go after right now. I think watching more closely the macroeconomic indicators to see where the housing direction goes. So it'll be interesting to watch, how active do you expect institutional individual investors to be in a single family rental and distressed property space next year? I feel we're going to have a very heavy investor market first quarter, maybe into the second. We need to see what happens with the Fed in March. That's going to be a big deciding factor of where this all goes and how the market reacts, especially rates. So that's my thoughts for this morning to get started on this discussion, becoming a real estate influencer. It's a very powerful, practical strategy to position yourself as a real estate influencer, especially aligned with when you're in the lending and investing and the mastermind leadership branding space. You really need to define your expert lane, your pillars. What are your pillars as a real estate professional, right? So what are my pillars? I'll use an example. I'm in the asset-based lending space and capital strategy space. DSCR, fixed to flip, bridge, construction, white label. Creative financing, seller financing, BRRRR, market strategy and investor psychology and networking and mastermind leadership events. And then obviously offering investor education, CE courses, workshops, underwriting training. These are my pillars, and I'm very consistent in content, which allows me to build influence, right? So you got to find your pillars. What are your pillars going into first quarter? Not for the rest of the next year. First quarter, what are you going to hit the ground with pillars going into 26, right? Becoming an influencer. Dominate that platform first, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. These are places where you need to place consistent content. Not about your bad day, not about your good day, not about what you did killing it and this, that. Education, motivation, and inspiration, right? And publish high value micro authority content, right? Break it down, market predictions, myth busting, mistakes, real stories that deal with what you saved, right? Or use third party discussions on real stories, and mastermind knowledge drops, right? Talking about different events that you're supporting or representing and co-sponsoring or podcasting, right? 60-second reels in video, right? Long, not these massive long posts and carousels. Anybody that's listening in, or do you have an email newsletter? I have a newsletter on LinkedIn. It's called the Creative Birth Strategies newsletter. I probably publish 3 to 5 articles a week. And I take that content and I post it elsewhere. Like, you need to get more involved in your world, providing content, right? Content. When somebody called me this past week and asked, "Hey Joe, is there anything you could help me with different subject matter?" I said, go to Creative Birth Strategies podcast, at creativebirthstrategies.com. There's 150 interviews with different real estate professionals and discussions, right? Building your signature series or show. Obviously, we have an influencer on here, Amy. She has her own show on LinkedIn and elsewhere where she interviews various people in her space, in her lane. She's expanding that lane and collaborating with other influencers, right? I just set up a podcast next Saturday with a Philadelphia real estate influencer because, listen, we don't do business together, but we can collaborate and discuss the market. I'm not going to ask him for business on the video. I'm going to talk to him about the market and what he thinks, where there's trends going in the Philadelphia market. If something comes from it, that's great. If nothing comes from it, I'm fine with it. So you got to think, listen, the podcasting piece, I'm more than happy to set up a podcast discussion with anyone here on an interview, whether it's together one-on-one in my office or we do it on a Zoom or some type of call like that. That's what you need. You need collaborative opportunities in the video space. People need to see you and hear you. And then if you have the opportunities of speaking on stages or presentations, come up with a couple of subjects that you could discuss in front of small groups. Whether it's a BNI group or a LaTip group or a real estate investor group, you're getting in front of people that are engaging and listening to you. So tomorrow night, I'll be speaking on non-QM lending and going into 2026. I'll have 35 to 40 people engaged. Build a recognizable brand. Good headshot, not from 30 years ago. Good QR codes, good iconic statements, taglines, logos, hashtags. Share the wins, not beating your chest, but just share them. Talk about how great these things work. You don't have to tag people, but just talk about them in third party deal making and real life stories. Like I have real life stories to talk to people about every week because I'm having deeper and longer discussions with people. I had a discussion with somebody I hadn't seen in a bunch of years. I spoke at an event this past week in York, Pennsylvania. The gentleman and I, we spoke for like 20 minutes about his portfolio, where he sees the market going. We really dived into it. I mean, will there be business from it? Maybe, maybe not, but we had a great discussion. Hopefully he'll, introduce me to a couple people. And always growing your community, not just your content. Maybe even consider using paid ads to amplify your high-performing content. And stay ruthlessly consistent. Your voice, your authority, your experience, your content foundation. We'll go with ladies first, of course. Welcome, Melissa. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to becoming a real estate influencer.
Oh, this is good stuff. Hey, good morning. How's everybody doing this morning and holiday weekend? I am Melissa King, Virtual Solutions founder. We are the mommies that investors call and their books look like a cartoon. RPOA podcaster and influencer here in our West Michigan area as well as national. For him, it's because he has clear content, systems. If it's messy behind the scenes, just like you said, Joe, your brand is going to be like,
Yeah, I agree with you. I think people are caught up with, like, I just don't understand some people where some of these real estate agents, I hate to use the real estate agent as an example, but they take a picture of themselves walking away from like an explosion and talking about a bad closing. Like, now, if somebody's connected with you that was part of that closing, what do they think about you at that point? They think you're a tool, right?
Exactly. That's what we need to remember.
Like, people see this. So, people don't know whether I'm having a good day, bad day, or indifferent day. I mean, it's quite ironic. So it's been 6 years, over almost 7 years now, going to May, that I'm a stroke survivor. People are like, "Oh, you had a stroke?" I'm like, I didn't put a billboard up. I wasn't looking for pity. I mean, I moved on and put my life back together. So listen, people do not care to hear about your bullshit. They care about what you're giving to them, whether it's influence of education or insight or trends. You're a professional in your field. You can't break down and give your worldly opinion about somebody individually, right? And when you see that, it's like a complete meltdown, right? And then everybody gets involved. It gets really ugly for the most part.
Absolutely. Stay on the positive side. My husband had just started his own business, and he's been getting out there and doing more speaking in his arena. And I do a little bit of try not to finish the other guy so much. We know you're better than him, okay? So you don't need to do that.
Maybe we're not. Who knows? Who cares, right? But nobody needs to know. I mean, I kind of shake my head sometimes with a lot of the, I call them the Facebook legends. They talk about so many people in third party. I'm like, when I ran into a couple of these individuals, I won't say guys or girls. When I run into these individuals, hey, I'd love to work with you. I'm like, listen, I probably not want to work with you. And they look at me like, yeah, I don't like how you talk about people. I'm sorry. I have some form of integrity. And no one's probably ever stood up to them and tell them that. Nor do I care, because I don't want to work with them in the first place. I fire them before we even get started. I mean, they have influenced me.
If they had the reaction that you hit it right on the nose, if no one's ever told them that before.
I mean, listen, we're not fit for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. And we're not everybody's a cup of tea, and I'm okay with that too. You got to be a cup of tea with the people that you feel like you're making impact in their lives, in their future, in their present day. Just saying happy birthday to people is so important. Did everybody just take the time this week and go on your Facebook and everybody you're connected with wish them a happy birthday? You don't know if they're having a bad or good day. Maybe that cheers them up. Maybe I'm like, hey, I haven't talked to that guy in a long time. Let me give him a call. He's so nice. He took the time to say happy birthday. Right? I mean, like, little things like that make a big influence as an influencer, just being compassionate. Right? So, Melissa, any thoughts, final thoughts to becoming a real estate influencer as a professional?
Working on this right now. I hired my daughter. That's her jam. Michigan right now. It's like on social media. I'm starting to drag that my pillars going into 2026.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Melissa, and good luck with that, working with your daughter and knocking it out of the park. And, your niche equals your authority. Pick a primary identity of who you are, consistent colors, signature tagline, a great one, like a good one, where strategy meets real estate. Repeated value pillars, education, data, opportunities, deals, mindset. Create a high value content at scale, educational, local expertise, behind the scenes, entertaining personality content, authority content. This is really honing in on a real estate agent, right? Building a multi-platform dominant strategy. Different platforms equal different purposes. And LinkedIn, I think, is I don't think enough real estate agents feel that LinkedIn is powerful enough for them. They don't realize there's way more money in LinkedIn than Facebook. Just way more money. Now, there's a great marketing spread in Facebook, but you gotta impact both. You gotta impact your Instagram, your YouTube, your TikTok, your Google. Everybody below, does everybody below have a Google business profile? It's a yes or no answer, not kind of. And if you don't, go get one. Hire somebody to put it together. Get it approved. Do you have your own Facebook community and groups? Right? Your brand and your visual authority is everything. You want to be the king of real estate or queen of real estate influencing, whether it's neighborhood and market breakdowns, right? Or case studies or analyzation or rehab tours or house tours. Long form plus shorts equal rapid growth. You got to embrace Google. You got to update your Google business profile weekly. Post photos and pictures and videos and reviews. We had 7 testimonials from my white label course a couple weeks ago. They're being posted this week. Really nice, really coming out really good. Building authority through consistency and repetition, and collaborate aggressively with different real estate professionals. Amy, good morning and welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to becoming a real estate influencer.
Joe, happy Sunday. I am Amy Palvido. I do a couple of things. I'm a longtime real estate investor and developer, and I also am a tech founder, a company called Facilimax. And I chair the Real Estate Technology Association in the United States. It's the U.S. PropTech Council. So I'm kind of at the intersection of technology and real estate. And yes, I've got a fairly good following on LinkedIn, and I prefer LinkedIn as my social media channel of choice. What do you want in the marketplace? More than probably anything, but posting it live on LinkedIn and growing LinkedIn also helps, right? So it's a good time to be an influencer. You're right, Joe. You got to pick your goal and make it make sense for you, and then you establish your authority in for sure. Yeah, I mean, if I were to say have the nipples, like, please have the systems that Melissa was talking about on the back end, so you can take advantage of all the content creation that you're doing. All you're doing is spinning your wheel for no reason. So you need to have an entire thing put together for it to work. So you have your content creation, which generates leads, which come in. Then you can email your newsletter out to. Plus, you put your newsletter out on LinkedIn, and then it just cycles, right? And then you're building up your leads. It should be lead generating. That's what you're doing your content for, right? That's why you're becoming an influencer, so you can make money off of it, right?
Yeah. So I mean, with your podcast on LinkedIn, building the relationship building for your PropTech Council.
Yeah.
Do you give it 100% that came from LinkedIn podcasting?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the only place I put it out. The only place I stream to is LinkedIn and YouTube.
Okay.
That's the only place I do it. Facebook is not where I'm going to find my people. I figured out early on kind of which channel was going to work the best. Based off of we're more B2B We need higher end real estate developers and different people inside the council. So LinkedIn was the obvious choice. So I started, I would say, it was early 2024 when I started this methodology where I was in 2024 was to be intentional. So keywords, and last year was to be disciplined, and the first year was to be intentional. So how I manifested that in 2024 was I was purposely reaching out to connect with. I hit the limit every week. I did it on Sunday afternoons. I was trying to connect with 200 people every week. Once whoever came in and connected with me, and I would send them a message. Resolution is actually the people I network. So here's my color relay. I do that consistently for 2 years now. I started my following wasn't awful in LinkedIn. First started, it was like 6,000 followers. I've almost at 16,000 followers now. Almost like 15,500 followers in 2 years. And that's just been consistently every week reaching out, submitting 200 connection requests to people I specifically want to speak to. Build up your following, and that really helps you when you start doing content creation because you got to kind of do both, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, from the podcast itself, I probably get myself 2 or 3 articles just because of the conversations we're having, and I put pen to paper on those and get those out.
Yeah, it's really nice. There's some AI tools that can help with that, like when you do Descript or something like that, that'll at least transcribe the podcast for you, and then you can kind of take that, massage it, and make it into an article. It's super fast to do. There's more and more AI tools that can help you do content, and then not only take that whatever content you have, and then kind of look at it, kind of and take content for the tools for content. It's really kind of silly because or full content management, right? And making it super easy for hosts.
I feel like there's so much available content to leverage and use and just copy and change some wordage to it and kind of customize it to yourself more than ever. Like I can't feed enough content to my team to market myself. I mean, they're like the Cookie Monster. They just keep eating. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know. I think it's honestly, at the end of the day, I think people get a little myopic in the fact that, like, well, I just published that article like 2 weeks ago. Should I publish it again? I go, first of all, whatever you sent out 2 weeks ago, number one, nobody remembers. Plus, probably 80% of your audience did not read. So yes, push it out again. Like, not only should you be pushing it out, you should be pushing out content like, I don't know, every day. Not everybody's going to see it, especially if you're doing it on social media. You have to understand, you have to be at the top of everybody's feeds. This is how social media works. And so not everybody's going to see it. Like, depending on the algorithm and depending on how everything does. So don't think that if you pushed an article 2 weeks ago about a certain topic that you can't push it again. Yeah, you can. It's totally fine. And then the way when social media is consistent, you have to be consistent. You have to publish all the time. I would say I've done more podcasts and publishing than I've done in the past. And then genius like interviews. Clubhouse now, and that's going to go out to Apple and Spotify and all those things, right? So, yep. I think it's just, honestly, truly, I don't spend a lot of time on it. I probably could, and all the Gen Zers are like shaming me on like, my podcasting technique. But really, it's just I hit start, I hit stop, and I push it. I don't do any editing at all. And I tell people that. I'm like, if you want me to edit something, I put the whole app in. I'm going to drop it in the I'm not going to edit it out. So, yeah, and that's why it's easy when you do lives. That they know it's live. And so, therefore, they have to control what they say. Right? So it's like, it's a live stream, man. No, I'm not going to edit. Right. That makes it easy.
Amy, I appreciate it very much, and I look forward to hearing about your give me a little content. What's going on after this this session on Clubhouse?
To take what you're working on, talk about technology. For folks, if you want to know, we're talking about how to become a real estate influencer. So I'll talk through all the technology that can help folks do that. So that's what we're talking about.
Great stuff. Great stuff. So, there was a question in the chat. How important is a LinkedIn profile as a real estate agent in 2026? A powerful LinkedIn presence is no longer optional. It's a core business asset for real estate agents who want to dominate their local market, attract investors, and build long-term credibility, right? LinkedIn is a professional credibility engine. High intent buyers, sellers, and investors live on LinkedIn. I probably have 5 to 10 conversations on average a week by inbound inquiry in LinkedIn. Probably more on Facebook, but really good high level discussions of real estate professionals I have engaged with on LinkedIn. I found better interviewers from LinkedIn, which has been really good. And I feel like it's the number one platform for building referral partnerships. Like really, if you really want to dig into building out your team, your real estate team. So I didn't really even pay attention to how many people I'm connected to on LinkedIn. I'm close to 19,000 people. I would love to know every single one of them, but it's very hard to know them. But you try to pop the right information up. Being consistent with good content will get you in front of people. And you got to respond to everybody too. Like if somebody makes a comment of good or indifferent on one of your posts, you need to respond. Okay? You control your narrative there. And consistent content, attraction marketing. The LinkedIn SEO works in your favor as well. So I think, my first best resume was always on LinkedIn. I then transposed that into Facebook, Google, Twitter. There's some limitations on Instagram as well and YouTube, but the same consistent operation. So now that I got my footing here at Lind Investors Capital, I'm going to do a newsletter blast to 600 newsletters throughout the country. And it'll kind of seal the deal on who I am and what I provide back to clients. So I've been holding off on that because I wanted to make sure I was really comfortable with addressing who I am with Lind. But another thing I've already put in place is bomb videos, where I'm doing video along with the email sending to people. So I send them an email right up, but I also send a video. I also have a phone burner where anybody that's opening my emails of my newsletters, I'm able to see, and I send them a call, whether I leave a voicemail on their voice message or I talk to them on the phone. It's the follow up and the follow through. You got to keep adding different things to touching people every day. Like my goal now is to touch, whether phone call or text or email, hundreds and hundreds of people a day. That's how you have to look at this business, right? That's how you are a real estate influencer. And from a real estate investor perspective, you need to build your signature identity, your investor brand, becoming a data and value machine. Document your journey daily. Become the go-to educator. Using all platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Google. Attending and or hosting events. Your influence jumps when you speak on panels, host masterminds, host investor groups, create your own monthly workshop, interview local experts, building a networking machine with your team of experts, sharing real transparent numbers, building a content framework you can repeat over and over again, building out that newsletter, being on a podcast or starting a podcast. I invite everyone here to be interviewed on my podcast. Why wouldn't I do that? You've taken the time to listen in. Be polarizing but respectful. Solve real problems for your followers. And if you want, you can create different types of markers to hit to social media, like reviews and updates. If you need to have a discussion on this and need some assistance, more than happy to help you. Felix, good morning and welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to becoming a real estate influencer.
Grand Rising, Joe. Grand Rising, everybody. Thank you as always, Joe. Definitely exciting conversation. Began in Biz Enterprises, the Jaglix Group, and team leader of the Keller Williams Legacy team in Baltimore. So this is an awesome conversation on many levels because when I first even understood my level of influence on social media, it happened by accident. Me just posting stuff just consistently and then realizing when I didn't post stuff that people were looking for it. Everybody said even more often information because as time goes along, like now I'm actually in the process of being more of an influence on social media via Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I've been in a million podcasts and people have been like, oh, you needed to create your own. So coming soon, I'll be creating those things. I believe that all investors need to have a system, like Melissa said, like Amy said, like you said, Go High Level is a good one. Like, doing any product promotions or anything like that. It's just good for me and my business and from the mentor that I have that has helped me with that, whether it's the graphic design, the ebooks. You want to just make sure that your content is always credible, that it's always consistent. Every time you say this about, in the real estate world and me being a former real estate agent, more people, more clients do want to be involved in their realtors' lives. So them posting things about different things that they do in that space, those people care about that. Why? Don't know. It's just like a high school type of thing. And I also believe that each demographic is going to be different. Coming up as a real estate agent, LinkedIn was a great platform to be able to connect with people on this level. I think at this time, you don't have a lot of real estate agents, just from me looking at the numbers, that especially came from the years of doing real estate that I have. LinkedIn was probably going to be more stamped to them. Nowadays, they use it more from a professional platform. Like my son in college, he uses it to connect with other engineers. So I think it would agree that it's more of a professional platform. But these level of, like, depending on what age bracket you're in, you're going to find like people that are a little, say 40 and older, you're going to find that they're more on Facebook than they're on Instagram. Then you have, that age bracket of obviously from, I want to say about 25 to 40, you're going to find them on Instagram. A few of them will trickle on Facebook. But then you have the majority of the people either on TikTok, they use Snapchat, they use it different. So it really just depends on what demographics and which that you're shooting for, because you're just not going to find a lot of those younger children on LinkedIn looking for content of this magnitude. You're really going to find it more on IG, Facebook, TikTok, people, up and down with X, of course. One of my mentors, you keep sending emails, I use funnels, Russell Brunson. That really helps direct people to exactly where you want them to go. So having a system and having those certain things in place are super helpful. So that's my knowledge and wisdom for today.
There you go. And then you host an event now every month, third Thursday down in Laurel, Maryland, right?
Yes, because of you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And you know what's really funny is that the gentleman that allowed us to collaborate with him, he's all for it. He doesn't care. He just wants more bodies in the room, and I think that's wonderful. It's very humbling to meet a real estate professional like him. He's Ike is really a nice guy. So I want to give him a shout out because that's a great little event, by the way.
On top of it, what I also respect, if you remember, when we reconnected at that Baltimore area is where we seen him. And again, because we dominated the room that night, he could have been like, this is my event. He respected our knowledge enough to let us kill the room and then still respected enough that when I went there last Thursday, because that was the one for November, I was like, oh man, he's the guy, he's the host. He's like, absolutely not. He's the co-host. This is the information he knows. So absolutely agree that he's super humbling and definitely give him a shout out.
Absolutely. So, and that's where I love collaborating with people like that. You know what I mean? We when you go to so many events and you're trying to be an influence in meeting people and you only got 5 minutes to talk to somebody, it's so important in getting your who you are across so you can leave some impact, some influential impact. And I really feel you got to rotate 5 core content pillars: authority and education, case studies and proof, your personal brand, your hustle, your philosophy, your milestones, behind the scenes, not bragging, just talking about things in a humbling way, community and networking. Now, you got to be careful with that. You don't want to be posting too many events at too many places that you're at, because then you look too busy to people that might want to contact you. So I don't put as much information on where I am. I post about events that are in the future, but I don't take pictures at all these events, because I feel if people think I'm at every one of these events, I'm too busy to take their call, their email. You need to also have some lead magnets and some offers, like some breadcrumb to attract the, as we say, the pigeons, right? You need to have authority posts, like I said, again, some market pulse updates, deal stories, your secret weapon, FaceTime videos. Like I'm on the video right now. Everybody else is on audio. This is a lot of content, right? Going over a lot of information. You got to look at the ROI on this, right? And then the educational carousels, like CE courses or mastermind topics, content gold. So, I mean, literally all the events I hold next year, I don't have to have one speaker. We could just take educational subjects from all the podcasts we've done. We don't so you almost don't need to worry about begging a speaker to show up. You could just have a discussion for 20 to 30 minutes and let the room manifest from there. Some community builder posts. Like I have a bunch of Facebook groups. We have probably close to 150,000, 180,000 people in the groups combined. We're always posting content there. Always. People love seeing people. They love tagging strategic partners. They love connecting with one another. It's so, so important. And motivational and mindset posts. I had a video post on a motivational piece go viral, had over 300,000 impressions that popped up. And I was so taken back and so appreciative that people felt compelled to go viral with it. It was so authentic, it was really, it took a minute for me to take it all in. It was just seeing 300,000 impressions, like, what the heck did I do? Right. But I was very emotional about it in a good way. And I try to post a motivational video on average every couple days because it keeps me going. I feel like it touches people. I have one person, I post a motivational quote every morning, and she says good morning every morning to me. I don't know her that well, but she says good morning to me, and I wish her a good morning back. And that makes me feel great. I feel good about it. I gave some just positive feelings back to that individual. Who knows if she's having a bad day or a great day or okay day, but hopefully I just brought her into a great perspective with that quote. And people love that stuff. And I don't think we do enough of it. I think we should be consistent with it. The consistency and the continuity is almost like religion. It is religion. If you go to church is not every Sunday, it's every day. right? If you're going to church, you go to church in your mind every day if you believe in a higher power. So my thought to being a real estate investor, influencer is be consistent, be authentic, be real. Talk to people. Be direct. Be kind. Stephen, good morning and welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to becoming a real estate influencer. Stephen, are you there? Stephen going once. There you go.
Thanks for the remote. Thanks, Joe. This is Steve with I help page and broker investor for other stuff. And I'm not waving the white flag on social media, but I'm definitely realizing I have to reach out for help because they'll be contacting architects, Steve and I mentioned last week, but because the reality is you come up with a lot of things you think, gee, that would make a great post, but then there's, for me, the distance between the daily grind of what I have to do and the daily, actually having time to post and make it right, make it look not like I just grabbed my phone and stuck something out there. That's kind of the distance that I'm needing help to fill in, because I definitely have a goal to build a bigger online brand and make more interesting content and to eventually make a community out of that. But just the reality of I realized that I need help in the actual doing of it and the strategy of how to do it. So I think it comes back in a lot of cases. If I come back to team, it comes back to you personally posting enough to make it, consistent. If this is actually for me, I'm like, okay, how do I make it? How do I take it one step back instead of every third day posting on a couple, different channels, more like what Joe does every single day, get something out there. If you need help to do it, don't hesitate to do that. The other thing that helped me out this summer, when I was a few things was saying, what is the consistent, central destination? Already my homepage is finally ready where I can send people and say, hey, it's there. Go there, because it's wonderful to, at least in my mind, it's wonderful to connect with people. But also remembering how do you feed them back? Use your Go High Level account, whatever your CRM is. And how do you keep in touch with them, and how do you make sure you consistently post, and also where do they go? Where do they find you? So that's kind of what I've built over the last few months, and I'm finally ready to kind of get some help and finish it out and get it launched. Because that's really my 2026 is building the online community, getting more consistent, and saying, oh, you're looking for information on this part of what I do? Here I am. Here's how we can connect. And that's, so I'm actually starting out. It's just nothing for you. You got to do what you got to do. But I was saying, this is what I'm doing. I'm building this out. Hopefully there's a community that comes from it. Maybe there's monetization. And to me, it all comes down to team, because I don't have the time or really the skills to do it alone.
Steve, thank you as always. And Steve, we're always here to help you, of course. You can always call me with one question or another, and he always does. And I appreciate that about Steve. We don't have to be on the same page on everything, but we respect one another and provide insight back and forth to one another pretty consistently, I think, since we've met. I mean, listen, you want to provide authoritative posts. Okay, you want to have a market pulse to the update. You want to have deal stories, your secret weapon. What's your secret weapon, Steve, for 26? Give me your secret weapon.
For me, the secret weapon is really what it's always been, is deal analysis. Well, I'm not hoping people lose in 26. I'm hoping the deals get better in 26. So to me, it all comes down to the numbers.
Excellent. I appreciate that, Steve, as always. The educational. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just appreciate that I can reach out, and you've always done that help. We did they found some stuff back and forth each other. That's the other thing for me, 26 is getting more consistent and staying in touch with people like Joe. Making time for those little conversations, or maybe big conversations that don't necessarily move your daily ball forward, but keep you connected with what other people are doing, what else is going on.
Yeah. I appreciate that, and I look forward to that as well. We have a big Lehigh Valley holiday party coming up in the 17th. We're going to see all kinds of people there. I moved it to a bigger venue because we had 100 people last year. I think we're going to be at 200 people this year, and it's just time to give back, right? Mastermind topics, CE courses, get CE certified and give back. That puts you in front of a lot of people and become an immediate influencer. If anybody needs help in becoming CE certified in a class in real estate, call me. Okay, I know I have the right school that can get you qualified in whatever state you're in. It's so impactful. It's so impactful. It can be just a simple class, 2 or 3 credits, but you are now the influencer in that subject or subjects. That's where I would invest my money. You want to become the go-to in that subject. Jeffrey, good morning and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to becoming a real estate influencer.
Hey, Joe. I'm Jeff Morales, investor, part-time investor, full-time aerospace guy. Been doing investing for about 5-6 years. So, I think that, when you look at some of those things you're talking about, Joe, is you try to find the most authentic person, especially when they're doing like social media like content and everything. Try to find the most authentic person because there's so many bozos out there that are just spouting lunatic stuff, talking about how, they did this, they did that. But then you go research the numbers and you find out they don't really do anything. They just kind of talk about everything. They never really take action and actually, put together things and have to finance loans and things like that. So I always try to find the real influencers that are out there because I know the ones I think that come off the most authentic are the ones that have the losses, that talk about, hey, look, I messed this up. This is how I messed up. Make sure you don't try to mess up like this. I find those always a little bit better than the guy that's, riding around the Lamborghini and saying, hey, you can make $10,000 a month just by doing this. So I not only to make yourself an influencer if you want to be very impactful, but I think having a good voice and having a good line of reason of what you're talking about and how to actually fix problems. I think that's where I would try to go to, is not so much deals, the deal flow, more of just how to fix things when things get broken and how to get to the next step. And those are always my things about motivational and leadership and things like that. It's kind of more my space. I like real estate. I love it. I think it's great. I talk about some of the things that I do, when it comes to creative finance and other stuff. But, my really important factor when I do try to do, influence people is just to kind of motivate them, get them to the next level, and make sure that they understand what they're doing when they're doing it. I don't really know how to motivate somebody to take action too much, but I know how to, hey man, you're in the mix right now. Let's go ahead and let's start doing this, start doing that. So you can get to get to a better place. Because I know starting out is really hard. And when you have people around you that are constantly around you that are doing good things and that are, smarter than you and can tell you how to do certain things, it's a lot better off. So finding that community with a good influencer or be the influencer in that community, it's so much helpful. It gets you so much further in life. And we used to do one of the cashew coffees down in Philly we used to do, and man, that helped me so much. Community to get going. But yeah, from there you can get a lot of those influencing type of materials and going into social media and helping people out. And that's really what I would want to do. I don't know if I'd want to help, try to raise a big, huge group, but I would just try to help people in my thing. And that's really all I try to do. But anyways, that's all I got, Joe.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Being a problem solver in real estate, that the skill that separates top performers from everyone else, right? In real estate, whether you're an agent, investor, or lender, the ones who rise to the top aren't the ones with the most followers or the fanciest marketing. It's the ones who know how to solve problems. Real estate is a constant puzzle. Problems equal opportunities to demonstrate value. A problem solver controls the room. Problem solving equals deal flow. Problem solvers think in systems. Emotional control is part of the job, and the market rewards the professionals who solve problems. Bottom line, being a problem solver is an ultimate competitive advantage in real estate. It earns trust, it closes deals, it elevates your brand, it turns clients into evangelists, it separates you from average agents and investors or professionals in whatever field you are in real estate. In this business, you're not just selling properties or buying properties or loans, you're selling solutions. And you'll also weed out the time wasters too, the takers. The takers will highlight themselves more so than ever before in 26. The people that just want to take and not give. I know plenty of those guys and gals. There's plenty of them. More to you could hand those guys out like manure. They're spread out like on a big farm. All right. And they usually show themselves off really well. And those are the people you get to fire. You don't have to work with those people. You don't have to get back to those people right away. They're just takers. And they know they're takers. That's the funny part. That's the irony. So you got to really know how to evaluate your time with people. Miss Stephanie J. I won't go into her full real name. It's been a long time, Stephanie. How are you? Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to becoming a real estate influencer.
Hey, Joe. I'm never here on Sunday mornings these days, but I saw your room. Had to come in. Nice to see you.
I have to bow to one of the elites of Clubhouse. I got to bow. I'm bowing right now on video.
You wasting up time on here to get you somewhere, I guess.
Oh, my goodness. Where have you been? What are you up to? And what's your thoughts on being a real estate influencer?
I like this topic, but I'll tell you, I'll confess right off the top, I have never had a whole lot of interest in being exactly what you're describing, one of those big time social media, lots of followers kind of influencers. What I do is I have a lot of clients. So I'm a commercial real estate broker. I'm in upstate New York. And I sort of came in at a time when I was young. I had just been a student, so I started specializing in student housing. This is about 10 years ago. And so the kind of clients I was getting were like these young students graduating particularly from Binghamton University. But it was kind of a good because a lot of them were from the city, had some resources and parents, and were well established financially and all that, right? So they said, hey, I want to buy some property. I know the Binghamton market. It's way cheaper than Brooklyn or way cheaper than Long Island or whatever, so I'm going to go buy up there. So I selected this group of kids that have grown with me. And now some of them are buying large institutional student housing investments. Some of them are working with me on a deal right now on purchasing the now defunct dorms at Tompkins Portland Community College, and that's going to be a pretty large institutional deal. So I guess my point is, rather than sort of or automation or any of that, I found my people and I grew with them. I know their kids, and I know their stories, and I know their favorite foods, and I back and forth, and I ended up sort of building a large they're really loyal to me and all their friends and all of that. So I don't know how helpful my input is because there's probably a lot of automation I could be doing to increase my influence. But for me, it's incredibly fulfilling to know who my people are, where they are, to, and that they're always not the best thing. So,
I thank you as always, Miss Steph J. I don't really get caught up on how many people are following me and all that stuff. I just, somebody asked me a question this past week. Hey, Joe, do you mind going to events by yourself? I said, I'm the most dangerous person in the room if I'm by myself. The person that needs a large crowd, they have a whole nother bag of insecurities. The person that can walk in a room and work a room like a Ronin is is a samurai without a master. That's my thoughts to, being an influencer, being in the present. So Stephanie has always been very kind to me here on Clubhouse. And I thank her for showing up here. This is like, I have a special guest. I feel like I'm, Johnny Carson on the Tonight Show here tonight. So this is great. So I appreciate your time, Stephanie, as always. And I'm really glad things are going well for you. And if I could be of any help, of course, I'm a phone call away. This is a really good discussion today. My final thoughts on being a real estate investor in 26 is influence is built on value, not volume. We don't have to be the biggest. I don't care if I'm not the biggest room on Clubhouse. I care less. I care that 3,500 people a week are listening to this podcast, or 4,000 people, or 5,000 people. This is just one piece of a very big pie, right? So I don't get caught up with that at all. I don't care. The transparency is the new currency. Authenticity sells, but transparency converts. Consistency beats talent. The turtle will always beat the hare. In every story, at any time over the centuries, consistency will beat talent every single time. Video dominates, but depth separates. Think about that. Your network is your net worth, but only if you activate it. Data plus storytelling equals maximum influence. You are your own media company. Serve first, sell naturally. You become a local authority and a natural noise. Be consistent with it, right? Influence without action means nothing. And bottom line, in 2026, being a real estate influencer means being a leader, a teacher, a connector, and a strategist, also all wrapped in one. If you can merge content, credibility, consistency, and community, you won't just influence the market, you'll shape it. But never, ever become the welcome mat for others. Okay? Keep that all in mind as a real estate professional. Do not become the welcome mat. Be the influencer. So I want to thank our moderators. We had a lot of roses amongst the thorns here this morning, which I always love having. We have another great room following up this with Amy. I want to thank our sponsors, as always. I'd like to thank Mr. Yardell Perkins of Perkatech, who provides unbelievable content and video work and administration. I had a major problem with my social media yesterday. Some hackers tried to get into one of my sites. Took care of it immediately to shut it down. That's somebody that's influencer in my world. And he's a friend, he's a colleague, he's a business partner. So important, okay? I want to thank Lend Investor Capital, where I can now provide a three-pronged approach to lending. Direct to investor, if you want to broker our money and white label our product all the way through. Or you could be a referral source and make origination just referring clients in. So we have all three right there, providing DSCR, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, blanket loans, portfolio lending, nationwide, all 50 states. MB Capital, where I am a direct unsecured business line of credit referral program, referral partner. We're providing unsecured business lines of credit for investors and business to business people. And then finally, our real estate mastermind strategies, where I'm providing a white label course monthly in various markets. If you'd like to have that course in your market as one of your meetups, please reach out to me. We can schedule that accordingly. We have events in PA, New Jersey right now. We have a bunch of events coming up. You can go to my website, josephvscarice.com, go into the events. They're all right there. But I'd be more than happy to help you with yours in 26, whatever I can do to assist. I want to thank everybody today. This was a great discussion. We're here every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, providing education, networking, and strategy. We'll be back next Sunday morning, 9 a.m. with another great session of discussion. And my quote this morning, let's get into that real quick. Always remember, your focus determines your reality. Always remember, your focus determines your reality. Have a blessed Sunday. We'll be ending the room in the next 30 seconds. And thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Everybody have a great day.
Great day, everybody.